In this video, I'm going to show you the difference between hearing aids that are programmed using real ear measurement versus hearing aids that are programmed using the auto program button. Coming up. Hi guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Anthem, Arizona. And on this channel, I cover a bunch of hearing-related information to help make you a better informed consumer. So if you're into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss when I post a new video. Alright guys, I want to give you a little heads up. This video might be a little complex for some viewers, so if you don't know what real ear measurement is yet, then I highly recommend that you watch my video that I will link in the card up here and in the description below, and then come back to watch this video. All hearing aids sold today have the capability to be auto-programmed, otherwise known as first fit. First fit is basically when you take the hearing loss of an individual, you enter it into the manufacturer's software, and it provides an estimate for how much amplification that individual should receive. All hearing aid manufacturers have their own proprietary first fit algorithms to provide a certain amount of amplification that they believe is best from their devices. The problem with this is that you cannot verify a prescription that is proprietary to these manufacturers because third-party verification equipment can only verify certain validated prescriptive methods. You see, even individuals with identical hearing losses will require different amounts of amplification at different frequency ranges based on different ear canal size and shapes of those individuals, because no two ears are alike. To understand why hearing aid verification is so critical, you have to understand what a prescription is. A prescription is basically the amount of amplification that an individual with a hearing loss would require at each individual frequency to ensure that sounds are comfortable and audible for them. Prescriptions take into account a variety of factors from individuals, including their age, their gender, and how long they've been wearing hearing aids. Based on years of research, we know that verifying hearing aid prescriptions using real ear measurement will improve the way that someone can hear in nearly all situations, including background noise, which results in a better overall listening experience for a user. In fact, this research continues to happen. We just had a research study come out not too long ago by Washington University where they did a double-blind study that indicates that users prefer hearing devices that have been fit using real ear verification versus hearing devices that haven't. If you want to go ahead and see that research, I went ahead and linked that in the description. The two most common validated hearing aid prescriptive methods are NAL and DSL. NAL is derived from the National Acoustics Laboratory in Australia. They had the NAL-R for linear hearing aids, the NAL-NL1 for nonlinear hearing aids that use compression, and they also have the updated version of the NAL-NL1, which is the NAL-NL2. The DSL prescriptive method stands for desired sensation level. This one was derived out of the necessity to have a verifiable prescription for children. You see, adults and children both require different levels of amplification, and they are now on the 5th generation of the DSL. Verifying hearing aid programming using one of these validated prescriptive methods will ensure that you're receiving the proper amount of amplification for your hearing loss and your individual characteristics like your ear canal size and shape. Of course, real ear measurement is the gold standard method of verifying these hearing aid prescriptions. How this process works is your hearing care provider will place probe microphone tubes inside of your ear canals along with the hearing aids that they are programming. These microphone tubes will record the level of amplification coming out of the hearing aids. By playing a known calibrated signal from a loudspeaker in front of you, we can measure to see if the amplification coming out of the hearing aids is meeting your prescriptive targets. When we look at these measurements on a screen, we see the prescriptive targets for sound indicated by the purple hash mark line. The solid purple line indicates the sound coming out of the hearing aid after it has been amplified. The goal is to have these lines overlap as closely as possible. On the left-hand side of the screen, you are looking at a hearing aid that has been fit using manufacturer first fit settings, and the screen on the right is the same hearing aid after it has been programmed to the prescriptive target using real ear measurement. When you are at your prescriptive targets, that is where you will hear your best. If you had to pick between fitting in the left and the fitting on the right, which one would you pick? The problem is, the majority of hearing care professionals use manufacturer first fit method instead of using real ear measurement. You see, hearing aid manufacturers are not stupid. They know that 2 out of every 3 hearing care providers is not going to use real ear measurement to verify that a hearing aid is fit appropriately to a patient's hearing loss prescription. So what do? They reduce the amount of amplification, particularly in the high frequencies, to make that amplification more comfortable for a patient, thereby reducing the likelihood that that patient will return those hearing aids because they don't like the way that they sound. I want to show you some evidence to illustrate what I'm talking about. So I'm going to actually show you some screenshots of first fit measures that I've done on hearing aids that are programmed by the manufacturer's software, and then I'm going to show you what I actually adjust them to make sure that they're meeting a prescription. In this screenshot, the pink line illustrates the manufacturer's first fit estimate of amplification, and the purple line shows the programming after adjustments made using real ear measurement. After verifying the amplification using real ear measurement, we now know that this patient is getting the correct amount of amplification to accommodate their hearing loss. Again, different hearing loss, but same result. It isn't as bad as the previous example that I showed you, but he was still significantly underamplified in the high frequencies. Now, there is a chance that this patient would have been somewhat satisfied with his hearing ability, but he wouldn't perform at his best based on research, and he likely wouldn't perform as well in a background noise situation. Here is a third example of a poor manufacturer first fit estimate. Again, pink is the manufacturer estimate, the purple is after making adjustments using real ear measurement. See how close we get to the purple hash mark prescriptive targets when using real ear measurement? I'm sure this patient appreciated not going with the first fit settings, because if we did, they would be missing a significant amount of speech clarity by under-amplifying the high frequencies. The point is, if you don't have your hearing loss prescription verified using real ear measurement, you really have no idea whether or not you're meeting your prescription or not. Actually, you know you're not meeting your prescription because I've done this a million times and never have I ever seen a first fit estimate even come close to matching a prescriptive target. And this is from some of the most high-tech hearing aids, top of the line hearing aids that exist on the market today. You guys, I am not making this stuff up. There are tens of thousands of individuals walking around out there with hearing aids that are not programmed correctly to their hearing loss prescription because they've never had real ear measurement performed on them. Now, I know that there's some of you out there that are getting sick of me talking about real ear measurement and how important it is, but the simple fact of the matter is that I'm not going to stop talking about it until 100% of hearing care providers do it on a regular basis. Hopefully this video has opened your eyes to the importance of hearing aid verification. Even if it costs you significantly more money, which it usually doesn't, you should demand that real ear measurement be performed at your fitting appointment. If you don't have real ear measurement performed and you rely on manufacturer first fit settings, then you are setting yourself up for a poor fit of your hearing devices, which will ultimately result in poor performance. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please share it. And if you want to see other videos just like this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.